The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody out there. Thanks for listening to my show. All aboard. My name's Donald Whisman, coming to you live right here on Armed Radio. Tonight, I've got Les Skymo. You guys all know Les. Say hello, Les.
Hey, big world, little world.
And we've got a special guest tonight. It's Les's first cousin, Joe. Joe, say hello to everybody, buddy.
Hey, everybody out there. I'm glad to be here tonight.
All right, we're giving Joe a test run here tonight to see how he does, and Les is there to guide him. But as always, I gotta do my thing first, and we'll get started. First thing, I want to send my prayers out to all the men and women serving in our military. I want to send a big thank you out to all of our country's veterans. Job well done, guys. And I do have a Facebook group. It's called Trump 2020 ! Join it if you support President Trump. If you're a patriot, remember Trump 2020 ! It's a Facebook group. And tonight, I guess if we got some serious callers tonight. I want to hear from some different people. If you got something that's really bothering you, call in. It's 1-800-508-5431. I want to hear some serious callers tonight. I mean, I'll take them, and if it's stupid, I'm going to hang up. Though I'm telling you right now, I'm just going to hang up. I'm not going to do what I did last week. I won't sit and talk like that. But there's a lot to talk about tonight. First thing I want to do, I want to send a big shout out to my friend Ann Becker. She did send me the email. Les, today, well, you know already. I left home this morning. I live in Franklin, Ohio, and I drove to Cincinnati. I'm not a city guy, you guys. I'm a small town guy. I'm not used to big cities. Got in a bad traffic jam on the way to Cincinnati. I got lost. Had to find this parking garage. I went down to see Vice President Mike Trump today, and I waited for Mike Pence. Oh God, what am I saying? Vice President Mike Pence. He was at the what was it? It was the Westin Hotel. It's right across the street from that big fountain, fountain square there, Les. Yeah, big 5-star hotel, and waited in line 2 hours to get in, and we went inside and had to wait another 2 or 3 hours for him to finally come out and speak. But meantime, Les, I went outside to smoke a cigarette, and lo and behold, I looked to the right of me, and I seen a bunch of loony people, Les, protesters. And a couple of them were dressed like aliens. One of them had a space... Well, that's what I was wondering. There's aliens, but, we talk about illegal aliens. But before I went live, Les, I asked the girl standing there before I went live, I said, hey, you care if I ask you some questions? And she says, well, I'll have to ask my boss. And I'm thinking, whoa, you mean you get paid? You get paid to protest? Now, Les, who do you think's behind that? Come on, you and Joe. Do you think people like George Soros and...
Les, you got to turn up your volume.
I got it, brother.
Turn her up, Lester.
Turn it up.
All right, Les, who's behind these protests? Sound good.
A little more.
A little more.
All right.
How's that?
Get closer to the mic or something.
All right. How's that, brother?
That's good.
You're blowing my ears out, but it's fine. Let's go with it, Les. Them protesters that were down there in front of the Westin Hotel today protesting Mike Pence, Les. What do you think about these loons?
Well, if they're getting paid for it, and if I was a liberal, I'd be doing it too. But you did manage to find one that let the cat out of the bag, because now 99% of them will lie to you about it. They want you to think they're down there on their own. And you see these idiots out in front of the White House and that Rosie O'Donnell. Brother, them people ain't got no jobs. They can't be there day after day and have a job. Somebody's got to be paying them,
Well, you're right. You got
They're professional protesters.
Professional.
That's
Well,
exactly what they are.
I asked them, Les. I said, "Are you Democrats, liberals, libertarians? What are you?" And that one guy says, "I'm an American." I started laughing.
American, yeah,
And one guy, Les, had a sign with Mike Pence depicting him with Vladimir Putin, and had a big old that old Russian emblem on there. You know, the sickle and whatever it was. Hammer and sickle had the old Russian, the old Soviet Union. And I'm thinking, I asked him, I said, "What do you think Mike Pence is a communist?" And I sound like I'm getting a little bit of reverb for some reason. I don't know, but it's okay. I don't care. But anyway, Les, but anyway, like you mentioned, Antifa. Now, they had a big group of those people rallying down in front of the White House this past Sunday. And this reporter named Benny Johnson from the Daily Caller, he was talking to some of these freaks. And a lot of them bluntly stated they wanted to murder President Trump. I mean, he was asking them, I mean, what would you do if Trump showed up? And a lot of them said they would kill him. Now, Les, why aren't these people being arrested?
Well, don't be surprised when you hear next 3 days that the Secret Service made a trip to the little punk's house. Because I tell you what, I'm a man of the cloth. I'm not the man I used to be, but that man ain't too deep in there where I can't crack some of their heads. They get up in my face, brother. I ain't putting up with that horse crap. I'm telling you right now. All you Antifas. But see, we know we got moles and they're little spies that listen to these shows and monitor what we do.
Trolls, yeah.
And I'm going to tell them, put them on notice right now. You get Les Skymo's face, I'm going to break your nose.
Well, Les, I forgot to tell you and Joe that I did get my picture taken with Mike Pence today. I'm proud. My next picture will be with Donald Trump. I'm going to try my best. I'm going to work hard. That's the thing about being American, Les. We got opportunities to do things like that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
like
brother, yeah.
President Trump. You know the thing about him, Les? He wasn't a politician before this. He came right out of civilian life and became the biggest. He got the highest office in the land. Now that's what I like about Trump.
That's why I voted for him. Joe, what do you think about President Trump?
Oh, I think he's doing a great job.
Anything else you like about him, Joe?
He's really turned the economy around. Everybody said all his predictions were, what did they say, irresponsible.
Yeah.
Oh, man, and that GDP.
Well, Joe, them people down there, they were speaking against his tax cuts. I mean, do they know really what they're talking about? I had to laugh at them, Les. I had to laugh because I really wanted to get into these freaks. That's what I call them, freaks, Les. That's what they are.
We went awful easy on them. Now, the problem's going to be for them. Now, there was only a handful of them down there.
Yeah.
So that that goes to show you that most people in Cincinnati's working. They got a job.
That's what a lot of people was commenting. That video is over 20,000 views right now. It seems like people out there on Facebook would rather watch these loonies than they would listen to Mike Pence speak. But it's funny.
It's a freak show, man.
It is a freak show. You've seen it. It's funny, Les. It's funny.
But Donald, they don't want to go to work. These crazy millennials, whatever you call them. The joke's on them, brother, because I tell you what, sooner or later, Mom and Dad's going to die. All right, who's going to pay the mortgage on the house? They're going to have to get out of the basement and get them a little tent and become homeless.
Well, what's going to happen when they get older, Les, and they can't draw Social Security? What's going to happen, Les, when they get of age where they can't work and they've not paid into Social Security? You know what's going to happen? We're going to give them SSI, Les. That means you didn't work, but you get our benefit. No, that's supplemental Social Security income. Now, they're taking from our pot, Les. We worked and put into that system, right?
Right.
Now, that's just like joining a fishing club. If you don't pay your dues, they kick you out.
Right.
Now, how can this country give people who never worked SSI, supplemental Social Security, right out of our funds, Les?
That's part of their fear, Donald, is because they're so afraid that Donald Trump's going to kick them off the gravy train. Oh, yeah. That's part of what this is all about, Joe. That's what, they don't want to have to go out there and do it the hard way. They want to start at the $20 an hour job and then work their way up. They don't want to start at the bottom, flipping burgers or washing dishes, whatever me and you had to do.
Oh, Les, I started out delivering newspapers. Well, deliver newspapers. You know, that's what I started out, Les. Delivering. I worked as a bag boy, bagging groceries, restaurants. These people, like you said, they want to start and get a big office job. Oh, I want a desk job. It ain't going to happen. Start at the bottom, work your way up like every other American. Go. You know, even the college kids anymore, Les, they're not. What are they doing? They're getting out of college. They're going home, living with their freaking parents.
Well, they're professional students, man. They're getting all these students. Now, you can blame the government for this. Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Les, you're breaking up. Les, you're chopping up.
I can't help it, brother.
It came back. You're back now, brother. You're back. It's okay. It's live radio. It's back. It's choppy again. Check it out there, Les.
Yeah, there's nothing I'm doing that's causing it, brother. I don't know.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear you good. Yeah.
I mean, when you're chopping, I can hear it, but you're sounding good now. But
I can't hear it. No.
Okay, you sound good now. But everybody, this live radio things do happen. That's fine. That's fine. I don't care.
Where was I?
We was talking about them riding a gravy train or something. These the millennials, it's going to hit them one day.
That's what it's all about. They want to be professional students. They want to live off the government. That's plain and simple. They want to smoke their dope. No offense, Jimmy. But which Jimmy don't live in mom's basement.
No.
He got his own place. He's a responsible adult. But I'm talking about these kids. And but anyway, that's all they want to do. They just want to kick back and just suck the resources from society. And they're afraid that Donald Trump's going to cut that off.
Now, Leslie, I got something I want to read to you. But before I do, I want to tell you that well, let's go back to this Social Security thing again, this SSI. And that really bothers me, Les. I mean, that's why me and you, it may run out one day. We're giving our money to people who didn't put it in the system. And I can understand maybe a woman that raised kids her whole life and didn't get a chance to work, her husband dies, maybe something like that, Les. But a man that's able to work and has got 2 good hands, 2 good legs, get out here and get a job and work, man.
You know what the Bible says, if you don't work, you don't eat. That's the way it ought to be. If you're a able-bodied, male or female, and you're able to work, but you want to kick back on the dough, then you'll just starve to death.
Well, Les, it's so bad, and Joe, we'll let you chime in a minute, but it's so bad. Now, Les, I had cancer back in 2010, and the cancer didn't hurt me, the treatments did, all right? The treatments hurt me.
Right.
They put my legs out. Now, Les, I didn't want disability, but they forced me out of work. They forced me out. Nobody would insure me.
That's a different deal, brother.
But I hate it.
Working when it happened.
Well, here's the thing, though.
It wasn't like you was laying around and being a burden to society.
You're right. I worked up. You know, I started when I was 14. I worked till I was like 40-something. I did, and I got enough credits. They call it credits.
That's a lot different, brother.
But you know what gets me? You got these people that never work for anything. They get this Medicaid, not Medicare. You got to still pay co-pays. They get Medicaid. This is state-funded welfare programs, and they get bad teeth. The radiation burnt my teeth up, Les. But I don't want a pity party for me. But I'm just talking about other people like me. We can't get our teeth pulled. But you don't work, and you get your teeth pulled free, and you get a brand new set of choppers. That's wrong. You can be in penitentiary, Les, and get it free. You get free dental, free health care, free food, and it's crazy. And we'll get on that prison system later, Les.
Yeah,
but
right, yeah, we got some stuff on that. Joe, you got anything, bro?
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah, I all these kids out there bashing capitalism all the time, talking about how great socialism is, and they always point to the current model that we have in the current economy. Well, we haven't had capitalism in this country for 100 years. It's been this mix of socialist corporatocracy.
Oh, Joe, I got a surprise for you later. We're going to go over the difference between socialism, communism, capitalism, if we got enough time in this show. But Les, I want to read this article. It's something I want.
I'll make a comment on Joe. Yeah, Joe, there's a lot of truth in what he said there. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, we're going to get back to socialism, capitalism, and communism. Let's get back to that. But I want to read this article, Les. It's kind of it is true. I love this article. It wasn't written by me. It was sent to me by one of my friends. It was written by a guy named Paul Genova, and it's titled "You Created Us." Now, he wrote this because all these Trump or these Democrats that can't believe Trump won, that Hillary lost the election. All right. Now, this is what he wrote: "You created us when you attacked our freedom of speech. You created us when you attacked our right to bear arms. You created us when you attacked our Christian beliefs. You created us when you constantly referred to us as racist. You created us when you constantly called us xenophobic. You created us when you told us to get on board or get out of the way. You created us when you attacked our flag. You created us when you took God out of our schools. You created us when you confused women's rights with feminism. You created us when you began to emasculate men. You created us when you decided to make our children soft. You created us when you decided to vote for progressive ideals. You created us when you attacked our way of life. You created us when you decided to let our government get out of control. You created us, the silent majority. You created us when you began murdering innocent law enforcement officers. You created us when you lied and said we could keep our insurance plans and our doctors. You created us when you allowed our jobs to continue to leave our country. You created us when you took a knee or stayed seated or didn't remove your hat during our national anthem. You created us when you forced us to buy health care and then financially penalized us for not participating. And we became fed up. We pushed back and spoke up. And when we did, we did it with ballots, not bullets, Les. With ballots, not bullets. With riots, with not riots, with ballots. Not loading with I don't know. It's anyway. That's what they created us, and that's how they created us.
Right.
The Trump supporters. Trump woke us up basically for what they did.
Well, and like I've always said, Obama wasn't the first socialist / communist traitor that would sit in the White House. This has been cooking, Donald. This has been cooking for a long time. The European bankers, the communism and all that has been trying to sink its teeth into this country from its foundation. And, you come right on up to 1871 when the European bankers finally sunk their teeth. They got a piece of America right there. And me and you talked about it. And yes,
many times, yes, Les.
And they have created this mess, the politicians. And I've said this a million times, the only politician in my lifetime that stood before America and said, I'm going to restore the Constitution of the United States has been Donald J. Trump.
And his vice president, Mike Pence, is standing right there next to him, brother.
Exactly.
And let's get back to what Joe was talking about, socialism and capitalism. But let me read the meanings of these two first. Yeah. And let's see how common they are. Now, this is the meaning of socialism. I looked this up. It's a political and economic theory of social organization that advocates the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. Now, I highlighted two words there, theory and community, all right? That's socialism. Now let's go to communism. Let's see how similar they are. Now, communism, the meaning of communism, a political theory, there's that word again, theory, derived from Karl Marx, advocating class war and leading to a society in which all property is publicly owned and each person works and is paid according to their abilities and needs. I highlighted the word publicly, and on socialism, I highlighted the word community. Now, before we get started, before I let you guys turn it loose on this, capitalism. Let's go capitalism. An economic system. All right, I highlighted that word, system. And that system works, brother, in which a country's trade and industry are controlled by private owners for profit rather than by the state. And, brother, I highlighted the word private. Private! Now, take over, Lesson Joe.
Well, one of our founding fathers, one of their main beefs was private property. They wanted us to own private property, and they wanted us to own guns. And the capitalist system, it will work great, but see, the problem with it here in America is, number one, our government has become a corporation. Your local governments are all corporations. We've talked about this. We're forced customers. We lost our God-given rights. They took them and selling them back to us in license and permits, and we pay fees for everything we do. And so that's what I was talking to Renisi about down there that time. I'm totally against that. However, Donald,
I know you went for Gibbons. I know you went for Gibbons in the primary, and now you got a right to vote whoever you want for. That's your right.
But here's what I'm getting at: our government has intervened in the capitalist system. They have interfered with the capital. We do not have a pure capitalistic system, Donald. We got a system.
It's under attack, Les. It is. Capitalism's under attack.
It's manipulated, okay, by the stock market. It's manipulated by our federal government. The free market system, people would be a lot wealthier, the average people, if the government would keep their nose out of it. What do you think about that, Joe?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Free enterprise.
Free enterprise.
Capitalism, Joe. Talk about it if you got something you want to say about capitalism.
Well, absolutely. That's one of the best parts about the foundation of our country. And, throughout history, I mean, people have thrown revolutions to overthrow socialist regimes, such as the French Revolution, to instill capitalism.
Well, Joe, Les, we went to Vietnam. We went to Korea to stop the spread of communism. And now we've got socialism. It's the next thing to communism going on right here in our own government, our own state government, our local government. Les, it's hitting America, brother. I'm going to tell you right now, there'll be another civil war one day, but it won't be between the North or the South. It's going to be between good and evil, right and wrong, Les. We've got Muslims coming in on one side, we've got communists coming in on the other side. That's what we're going to be at war with, Muslims and communists, brother.
Oh yeah, I agree, and it's such an amazing opportunity to have the people actually own the means of production instead of the government, and I can't believe people want to turn that power over.
Joe, you're right. Why would anybody want the government to control their life? Joe, can you tell me that? You're young. Joe, you sound young. How old are you?
I'm 21.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you're a conservative. You got a good cousin there. He's taught you well. You probably listen to Les a lot, don't you?
Oh, when I can.
I think he listened more to his mom and dad than he did me.
Yeah,
well, I love to see young conservatives. I love young conservatives. That just tickles me. It really does. But seriously,
he's like us. He got some libertarian tendencies. I mean, and I do too.
Well, don't you think it's a slap in the face to all the men and women who fought in Vietnam and Korea to come home? And today we've got these people running, and they're winning. They're winning in these offices. They're becoming mayors. They're becoming representatives, senators. I mean, what's wrong with America today? Our society is under attack, Les.
Oh, yeah. Joe, you fill in there. You can relate to that better than me, being as young as you are. What's going on? What's in the minds of these young people?
Yeah.
I agree with the whole gravy train concept. It's so easy to manipulate public opinion, but especially if you're going to tell people that you're just going to give them a bunch of free stuff, that's a no-brainer.
Now, Joe, I'm sure you work. You're a young man. I'm sure you're working right now, aren't you?
He's a hard-working man, yes.
Well, see right there, most people Joe's age ain't working, Les. I'm telling you, brother. And
they're in school on the gravy train.
Well, they'll go to school on grants and stuff, but they come home and live with their mommy and daddy. But Les, they're gonna die when their mom and dad ends up leaving this world. What are they gonna do then? And I hope I'm not talking. I think I talked too loud last week, and I cut out some. I think I do, Les. I get mad.
What I was doing, maybe.
I get really mad though, Les, and I don't want to sound like I'm beating a dead horse every week, but last week, Les, ICE agents arrested about 133 illegal workers, and a lot of these employers they targeted.
Wasn't it?
Well, we'll get to that. They targeted businesses in Nebraska and Minnesota. And a lot of the people started protesting these arrests. I mean, they feel sorry for these. I don't know. I don't get it, man. They feel sorry for these people that come in our country illegal. And it does sound like I beat a dead horse every week, but Les, we did have an election last week while we was doing this show last week. It was a special election right here in Ohio, up north in Ohio, for Troy Bolderson, remember? And he barely won. Les, do you realize you realize that they found like over 100 voters that was over 116 years old. Now, how do you get by with that in the state of Ohio when you got to show your driver's license?
Well, in one county, I forget exactly where it was at, but there was like only one precinct. There was only like 100 and something people, and there's 260 something that voted. I mean, and they say there's no voter fraud. Man, there's voter fraud all over the place. I was against going to these machines. I wanted to keep that paper ballot, but now everybody had to have these machines, and you can manipulate these machines.
You can. They're computers, Les.
I don't care what anybody says. Voter fraud's really bad.
And they talk about Russian meddling.
Really
we got meddling. We got election meddling going on right here in our own country with these Democrats.
Illegals. In every state, you got illegals voting, man.
Dead people. Dead people.
Dead people. Yeah. There's one thing I seen on Facebook. It said, "What scares me about dying is I probably vote Democrat."
You end up voting Democrat. You're right.
Yeah. Joe's got his thumb on the pulse of these young people, and he's exactly right, and with the way this country's going, and a lot of these young skulls full of mush are going to wind up politicians, man. That's what's scary.
Well, Joe, when you're talking to people your age, you went to school with these people. I mean, how does a lot of them think? Do they think like socialist, or do they think like capitalist? I mean, you just graduated not too long ago. Tell us, Joe.
Thankfully, I don't really hang out with a lot of people like that. So unfortunately,
that's good. Yeah. Don't walk away. Just like that movement, they got a walk away movement. Don't walk away, run away. Get away from that party as fast as you can, brother. And Les. And Joe, I seen this article the other day. Now it's funny. There's this activist group called Color of Change. I talked about this in a video I did. Color of Change. They claim to be the largest online racial justice organization in the United States. They launched this new campaign called Be Like Maxine. Your old buddy, let's be like Maxine.
Yeah.
Now listen to this. And their slogan is civility won't save us. They said, we need to be more like Maxine. No, thank you. I'll pass on being like Maxine, but less. They said civility won't save us. Now, the definition of civility it means right here, the definition of civility. Now, they said this won't save us. It means formal politeness and courtesy in behavior or speech. So what are they saying? Not to be polite, not to be courteous, violence. That's what.
Antifa, man.
There you go.
Why isn't Maxine Waters getting censored? Why ain't she on the carpet?
That's a good question, Les.
I'll tell you why. These spineless Democrats, Republicans like Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell, let that crap slide. They don't get on that and stay on that until something's done. We've got too many spineless Republicans. We need more Trey Gowdies up there. We need some more of them Jim, that one dude from Ohio. I can't think of his name.
I think
Jim Jordan.
Jim Jordan. I heard that name today.
We need some vicious Republicans up there with some spine, man. Is what we need.
Well, Les, ain't we at war with like terrorists right now? Now, wouldn't you consider like Maxine Waters to be kind of like
She's a domestic terrorist.
A domestic terrorist. She's inciting riots and violence.
She should be up on inducing or inciting riots. She should be up on charges right now, as far as I'm concerned.
What do you think, Joe?
Oh yeah, I completely agree. I mean,
do you want to be like Maxine, Joe? Do you want to be? Now, Les, seriously, what do you think about their slogan? Civility won't save us. What do you think about that?
Well, they're promoting violence, Donald. It's that simple.
That's it. That's
what they're doing. And all these people are. That's just all that is. It's a front group for Antifa, Donald. Is all it is, and they're out here. Just promoting violence. That's all they're doing, man, And, I can't wait until I see, like I said, I try not to be a violent man, but violence begets violence. And I can't wait until somebody forms a counter group, meets them in the middle of the street, and just beats them to a pulp. That's the only thing them people understand, Donald. I mean, what else you going to do? You going to cow down, lay down, and let them beat you and bust the windows out of your car and take you through the street and beat you and your kids and wife up when you go to the store, throw pop on you like that one dude did in that race? You think I'm going to lay down and take that?
Well,
You're nuts.
what about the guy pretending to urinate on Trump's star? I'm tired of messing up.
Who was that?
That was that Mexican guy. I can't forget his Lopez, George Lopez.
Yeah,
but you know, Les, the more they tear that star up, just think about it. They always have to put a brand new one down. So keep tearing it up, you guys. You're costing your city tax money, and you're getting Donald Trump a new star every time you tear it up. But Les, I'm going to put you and Joe on the spot here. I hate to do this. I want to know what you and Joe think about the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU. Tell me your guys' thoughts on the ACLU. Now, look, they're supposed to defend and preserve our individual rights and liberties guaranteed to us in this country by the Constitution and laws of the United States. Les, I don't think they've done a good job unless you're liberal, brother.
Well, that's just like the Southern Poverty Law Center. What have they done for conservative people? What have they done to promote America? What's the NAACP done to promote American values and to make people equal? What's Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson? What's the Democratic Party done?
Les, I think they're dividing us. I think they're trying to divide us.
That's exactly... You know, when Trump became president, he said he wanted to be president of all the people, okay? And that's been pretty much a Republican theme for as long as I can remember. Oh, yeah. Is making America for everybody.
Well, somebody's calling in. I'll take it real quick. We'll take the call here.
Maybe it's Maxine Water.
Thanks for calling all aboard. Can I get your first name, what state you're calling from, please? Please make it quick.
This is Chris from Louisiana.
All right, Chris, make your statement real quick, buddy. We're in a big conversation here right now.
I just want to ask Donald Donald, how does it feel to speak to the vice president today?
I feel honored. It feels like an honor, Chris. That's all I can say, buddy. It's an honor to have met the vice president today. An honor. And Chris, thanks for calling, buddies. Go back and listen to the show. All right, it's gonna get good.
All right, man.
Thanks, Chris.
All right.
All right, bye-bye, buddy. But anyway, Les, I forget where we was at.
It don't matter. That's,
well, all right, well, we'll move on. Now, listen. Well, I know what we was talking about. They're dividing our country, all right?
Oh, yeah.
You know,
that's the Democrats' way to divide everybody into groups.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the government creates a lot of its own problems, as we all know, but this is just another great example of that. You know, we were founded as a republic, which is supposed to be where everybody's under the same laws.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. It's not a democracy. Thank you.
Exactly. So that's kind of supposed to be intrinsically into our system, but when the government gets involved and tries to turn it into a democracy, that's when you get all this identity politics coming out.
Well, your cousin Les there taught me that we don't have much left of the old original republic. We don't have much left, like the jury system and the electoral college. We don't have much left of the old republic, do we, Les?
No, we don't have much.
Remnants.
What we've got here is just remnants of a republic left. What the government we have right now, Donald. Now, we are the freest people on earth. We can still go out here and become millionaires and billionaires. We still have that opportunity to be the freest people on the planet. But how much more could we be if we was that 1776 republic? If we was the republic our founding fathers guaranteed us? What we have now, Donald, is an illegitimate child of tyrants. That's the government we have today. And when you have to pay for everything you do, when you have to pay for your constitutional rights, brother, them ain't rights, them's privileges. And
you're right.
The big problem I have with this illegitimate child of a government we have, Donald, even with all our freedoms aside, okay, it's still a perverted version of what our founding fathers intended us to live under.
Well, do you know the only way we can really take care of that, Les, is we got to get more conservative United States Supreme Court justices in there. We got Neil Gorsuch. We got another one. He's got the other one coming up right now. I forget his name though. Crap! I just heard his name today. Trump,
Kavanaugh.
Appointing Kavanaugh. And hopefully Ruth Ginsburg, she will retire. If we. Yeah, thanks, Les. But that's funny. But anyway, if we can get that Supreme Court under control and these appellate courts, right? I think we can get our republic back, Les. Trump can't do it by himself. He's got so much power. He's limited to his power. I mean, he is a powerful man. He can't do it alone, Les. That's why another thing. I hate to sound like I'm beating a dead horse, but we got to get out of here and vote, you guys. We got to vote. Or they're going to win. They're going to win.
Well, see here, Donald. Here's the rub. Here's what concerns me. A conservative is not necessarily a constitutionalist. We've got conservatives out there, yang up there in Washington, okay, but we have very, very few constitutionalists. A conservative can be somebody that's satisfied with the system that we have.
You're right.
Let's keep what we got. Okay, let's don't rock the boat, and we'll just keep paying for our God-given rights that's now privileges, and let's just go right along, just kick the can on down the road.
You're right. Can I intervene on that one moment?
Sure.
You got a good point there. Now I can go back to voting again. That's why these primaries are so important. That's why we can pick the good people, the good conservatives. Look what we're really. I mean, nobody's coming out to vote. Look what we got to vote for right now. I mean, that's why these primaries were so important, but nobody got out to vote, Les. It's a shame. It's shameful. I mean,
well, that's true, Donald. But now we had an opportunity. Now, this is not a knock on anybody, but this is how I see it, Donald. Okay, and you've heard me say this a million times. We need new blood. We need people that's never been politicians. We need people that have to sit at the kitchen table and figure out how to pay their bills. Ohio had that chance, and we blew it.
Well, I'm not going to mention any names, but you're right, Les. I mean, we had better choices, but I mean, now we're forced, Les. And I hate to say that word, that we're forced, because I don't want a Democrat. I'm going to vote Republican.
I agree. I mean, we got to take what we got.
We got to.
Sometimes you got to do that.
But it could have been better. We could have had better choices. In all states, unless
we got to give these young politicians that's talking about restoring the Constitution and getting back to the foundation of this country, we got to give them a chance, Donald.
Let's put it back to what it was.
Dinosaurs. We got to put these McConnells and these Ryans and all these wet noodle Republicans.
Well, look at McCain. McCain won't even go. He's got brain cancer. Why don't he just? I mean, I don't want to talk bad about him because he did serve. I know they said he snitched.
They have to die to get him out of there. Look at Strom Thurmond.
Oh, I remember him. Thurman.
Strom Thurmond, 101 or something.
Oh,
like
I know.
He had to die before they get him out of there. People kept putting him in. I mean, he was a good man. He was a good conservative, but Jiminy Cricket.
Well, how long did
I want my Constitution back. I ain't worried about conservatives. I want my dang republic back.
Well, how long?
It, Joe.
Joe, go ahead.
I completely agree. I mean, I'm not really big on term limiting because I think the people should ultimately have the choice of whoever they want to vote for. But I mean, yeah, we do have these crazy single person dynasties, it seems like, in Congress.
I'm for term limits, so Joe. I really am for term limits. Look, the president, he's got the highest job in the land. He gets to serve 2 4-year terms. That's it. Why does these senators and representatives get to keep serving and serving and serving? Why? Why is that? And when the president can't do it. So I think they all ought to be just like the president. You get to serve up to 2 4-year terms, and that's it. That's it. Let's get new blood, like Les was saying. Let's let these people see if they can change this country back to what it was. Not what it's going to be, but what it used to be. I believe in old values, Les. I don't know about you, but I believe in the old ways. The old ways were better.
We have never lived, and we have never lived shortly after. And I've got to go back to it. I've got the evidence. I got the proof. I got.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I've got the Congress in their own words. I have to go back to 1871 when our federal government became a corporation.
Wasn't that Ulysses S. Grant that had that changed, Les?
He's the one that signed the bill, brother. And but now here's the thing, Donald. Me and you and Joe, even my mother, my grandparents, my great-grandparents never lived under the Constitution our founding fathers give to us by the Almighty.
No, we didn't.
God.
All we can do is read stories.
That.
We just read stories about it. But let's change the subject now. I'm just changing the subject. Well, the MSNBC.
Joe loose here on you now. That's what I'm gonna do.
All right. Well, there's this host from MSNBC named Lawrence O'Donnell. Now he was on this Bill Maher show on HBO. You've heard of Bill Maher, big liberal, right? Running his mouth about President Trump, suggesting that the Secret Service could physically remove Trump from the White House. And he thinks Elizabeth Warren will defeat Trump in 2020. Well, listen to this. I looked it up. The Secret Service cannot remove the president from the White House. Section 4 of the 25th Amendment to the Constitution, it takes the vice president and a majority of his sitting cabinet secretaries to decide if the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. Then they have to put it down in writing and send it to the two people, the Speaker of the House and the Senate's President pro tempore. I don't know what that is. The Senate's President pro tempore. Somebody in the Senate, but it takes the Secret Service cannot remove the president from office. These people they're the ones unhinged. Les, they are. They're unhinged.
Yeah, I see it every day. There's just no more moderate leftists anymore. Everybody's just so radical and in their beliefs and what they think Trump's going to do, and it's crazy.
Well, you can get too far right, too, and become a right-wing extremist, but I know where Les is all about the Constitution. I love that Constitution, too, and we have the best Constitution in the world right now, and the oldest, I believe, right now.
Well, we got to live and operate under the system we have. But boy, I'd sure love to give that Constitution a shot, though, boy.
Oh yeah.
But see, this guy is the goal of socialism is communism.
Sure.
And
that's what they're looking for.
Well, these media people, Donald, and I've been saying, put Tokyo in front of all of their names.
Tokyo Joe.
Tokyo Joe.
Joe Scarborough.
Tokyo Rose, she was the propagandist, and we had a long list of them here one night when I was your co-host. We went over a whole list of them during World War II, Korean War,
right.
Vietnam, and that were, propagandists for the communists. Same thing, brother. You have the same thing, except they live in America.
Well, our news, our mainstream media is propaganda now, Les. It's not news.
Communist propagandists, man. They're not news. They're propagandists.
Hey, let's talk about Obama Rosa. That's what I'm going to call her, Obama Rosa. Now, Trump, he's going to take legal action against her. She violated some non-disclosure. She did wrong. Here's another woman that Trump tried to help out, and I guess she did something wrong. Trump lost respect for her. Now she's out here giving away secrets and stuff that she heard. Things she shouldn't have been saying, and I hope Trump burns her. This Omarosa. I don't like her. I don't like Stormy Daniels. I don't like these kind of people. Les, I'm tired of hearing about them. I'm tired of hearing about them.
Right.
Yeah, they're all distractions. I mean, they biggest thing, they don't want you to see the accomplishments. I mean, they don't want you paying attention to the stuff that actually matters, but they really don't want you to see all the good that Trump's been doing.
Well, you're right, Joe. I mean, you're right. You hit it right on the nail. The mainstream media, they want to talk about Omarosa and Stormy Daniels. They'd rather talk about her or this and that, bad things about our president, and they don't want to tell you the good things. And that's true.
The CEOs of these companies have even admitted, not openly, but they have admitted that the Russian collusion story, they've been running that, for over a year now, and they've admitted that they don't believe it. That it's just for the views.
Joe, me and your cousin Les, we talked about that Russian collusion. Now, Joe, for 1 minute, do you think Vladimir Putin in Russia would have wanted Hillary Clinton to win or Trump? They would have wanted Hillary to win. Absolutely. If anything, they was helping her out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let's get on this. You mentioned I think we mentioned prisons earlier. Now let's talk about how many people in this country right now are on death row. There's 2,706 death row inmates in our country right now that are sitting there waiting on an appellate court to overturn their penalty. A lot of these liberals don't agree with the death penalty, but they sure don't have a problem with killing unborn babies, do they, Les?
Right. Killing innocent unborn babies.
Angels, Les.
Well, and here's the figures, Donald. You got 1,181 whites, you've got 1,162 blacks, and then it goes on down, 367 Latinos, 53 Asians. Now this is who's on death row, according to the race. There are more white people on death row than there are black people, but here's my thing, Donald. Why are there that many people on death row? They ought to clean that out. They ought to keep that thing cleaned out, bro.
Amen.
20 years is the average time on death row. Now,
or longer.
What the heck's going on here? Or longer. Yeah, they die of old age.
We feed them. We give them health care. That goes back to these prisoners. Death. These people, they've raped and killed little baby girls, and we keep them on death row. Like you said, let's clean house. It's time to clean them out. And you know what? That may stop the next guy from committing murder.
Well, and this last guy they executed up in Tennessee.
What? Oh, didn't they? He did one in Indiana too.
Tennessee. I don't know about Indiana, but 32 years after he's put on death row, they finally executed this scumbag.
That's too long.
He was babysitting a 7-year-old girl. He raped her and murdered her, and then he sits on death row for 32 years. It's a clear, clean-cut case of cold-blooded murder. Okay, when it's that plain, and you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that they done it, what in the world's going on here? And then you got a federal defense attorney stood up during this trial and talking about how the inmates, how they suffer and they smother when they've been put to death and how they're confused.
What about their victims?
I tell you what, brother, that upsets me like nobody's business. What about the victims? I tell you what you ought to do is after win a clear-cut case like this, Donald, I can put an end to their confusion and their smothery feeling while they're dying. You take them out back and put a bullet in their dang head. That's exactly what you do.
Off with their head. Doing public executions again. Off with their head, bullet in the head.
I mean, there's a cure for that, and it's execute them today.
Not 30, yes. But Les, Ohio, we have the death penalty right here in Ohio.
Yeah,
When's the last time we put one of those scumbags to death?
Yeah.
Why?
I tell you why. It goes back to this corporation system we have, Donald. It's just like when an elderly person goes to the doctor, that doctor passes them around to every one of his buddies, and everybody gets a piece of that government money. That's a corporation. It's the same way with our legal system, Donald. That all these lawyers and these public defenders are feeding like sycophants off of this system.
Leeches.
And that's exactly the way this stupid system is set up. And it needs to be, our penal system needs to be, all that needs to be restructured, Donald.
It does.
That's what happens when you have a corporate government a corporation posing as a government. It's an imposter, but everybody gets a piece of it, Donald. That's why it's so hard to fire somebody from the federal government, because they cover each other's back.
You're right. Well, it's just like this.
I'm fed up with it.
And when they do decide to put one of these monsters to death, what happens? Just like I seen today, you got these bleeding hearts. They'll come out and protest. Oh, don't kill Tim Johnson. I'm just making up a name. I know he might have killed a little girl or a family, but that's a human life. Let's don't kill the man.
Right.
But they don't care about unborn babies.
Right. Yeah,
That's what kills me. Yeah, Joe, what do you think about the death penalty? Are you for it or against it, brother?
That's one I'm kind of on the fence about. Again, I think the government creates a lot of their own problems. We got, so many of our prisons overcrowded with nonviolent offenders, and
I'm for the death penalty, Joe. 100% I'm for the death penalty. Like Les had a good point there. In this day and time, I think this is what Les was talking about. Correct me if I'm wrong, Les. This is 2018. We got DNA. We've got so many ways to tell if somebody did it or not. It's almost 100%. When they convict you nowadays, it's almost a fact that you committed that crime. I mean, you can't.
If the situation is murky, it's cloudy, that's one thing. But when you've got a cold-blooded murder, somebody like this guy that's murdered this little 7-year-old girl and raped him, brother, they'll find no sympathy with me, brother. I can tell you that right now, Donald. And hey, the difference is innocent and guilt. And when you commit cold-blooded murder and you're tried, give them a trial. That's Constitution. When you find them guilty, brother, that's when, bring the guillotine. I don't care how you kill them. Just kill them and kill them quickly.
Well, they worry, like you said, they got these bleeding hearts. Oh, they're suffering. But they don't care about the victims. What about the poor little girl that they ripped her little bottoms out? I mean, it's horrible. I hate to even talk about it. It's horrible. Charles Manson.
I have no sympathy for them, brother.
Let
Charles Manson deal with them. I'm not God. I can't do miracles.
We're not the judge.
I don't have that kind of compassion in me. I mean, I strive for that. It'd be nice to be like Jesus, but I tell you what, even Jesus Christ never come against the death penalty. Get right with me. You get right with me. He didn't say a word about doing away with the death penalty.
Well, you're absolutely right, Les. And let's talk about a little bit before the show ends here. Down in Alabama, Les, there was this high school. Now, I guess it was the Board of Education down there. They stopped them. I guess this high school used to play Dixie during their football games. Now they stopped it. I guess they're afraid that Dixie's going to offend somebody. Now, listen, Les, we talked about this. People from the South or even from the North, my family's from the South. I was born and raised in Ohio, but that's heritage, that's history. I mean, don't stop that state. That's a state, that's a southern state. By gosh, if they want to play the song Dixie, let them play it. You know what I'm saying, Les?
Donald, people so thin-skinned. You've got a lot, you've got people in these southern states that's turning on their own heritage. They're turning on their own people. I don't care how many statues you take down. I don't care how much you outlaw of Dixie and the Southern Cross, the rebel battle flag. You're not going to change that history.
Les, you think they're trying to change it? I think they're trying to change American history.
Sure, yeah. It's the same thing the Taliban done in Iraq. When they went into Iraq, they blowed everything up they could find that wasn't Muslim. And you find that all through the Bible. Where the Greeks tried to do the same thing to the Jews.
Remember that battle, 300, where that one guy, what was his name, Leonidas took the 300 soldiers there, and that Xerxes, I think he was from, I forget that big old, Persia. Yeah. He was a big king of Persia, and he said, I'll wipe your name from history. Yeah. And that's what's happening.
That was after Cyrus, King Cyrus, because he was a pretty good dude.
Well-
King Cyrus. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, you're talking. Yeah,
And
We'll
that's
talk several kings later. Yeah.
well, less even the internet. I know we got 3 minutes left, but listen, you can even ask Google. Like we got a war in Afghanistan. We're still in Afghanistan. Look up Google. Everybody out there can look up. Just ask Google or whatever you got. Ask them about the war in Afghanistan. I ask it, and the newest story I could find was from back in May. Then it goes from last year. Nobody's talking about Afghanistan. Nobody wants to talk about it. We still got soldiers dying over in the Middle East fighting radical Islamic terrorists. It's like they're afraid to say a radical Islamic terrorist. I'll say it right here.
Yeah.
We need to eradicate that too. That needs to be eradicated.
Well, I read an article the other day where a English, I think she was from England, she was gang raped in the streets there in England. She made a video, then went and committed suicide.
They got problems there, Les. They got problems.
We're going to have the same problems now if them Democrats ever take over, brother. The open borders, and they want to bring these Muslims in. And you know, I tell you what, if you don't want to be an American, you stay the heck out of here. That's how I feel about it, Donald, because what they do, and you see it in Paris, you see it over there in everywhere.
Europe's destroyed. Europe's destroyed, Les.
Europe's destroyed, but these people, they want to come in and they want to turn it into the same cesspool that they just left. And the reason they left there is because they've done robbed and killed and pillaged those countries. Yeah.
I'm going to say we got the minute warning. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody.
All
God
right.
bless everybody. Listen, tune in next Tuesday night. But let's you end the show in prayer, buddy. And, Joe, thanks for being on tonight.
It's been an honor to
All
be here.
right. Thank you, dear Lord God. In Jesus' name, I'd give you all the praise and glory. And just thank you for this show and each and every one. In Jesus' name, amen.
Play it, Jimmy. We're not going to take it, brother. Play it. Out of here.